Keela walked down the clean silver hallway of the ship Illyria, holding a small medical tablet close to her chest. She was nervous. Today was her first time doing a full checkup on a human. Not just any human, either. This one was part of the New Earth Exchange program. Only one human had been allowed aboard their science vessel, and he had already confused the crew several times. She took a deep breath outside the medical bay and stepped inside. Daniel, the human, was already sitting on the exam table. He gave a small smile when he saw her. "Hey there," he said in his calm voice. Keela smiled politely. Her green skin darkened slightly in embarrassment. Humans were so casual, so strange. "Hello. I'm here for your routine checkup," she said, trying to sound confident. "It will not take long." Daniel nodded. "All right, do whatever you need." She started with the basic, scanning his heart rate, checking his breathing, and measuring the temperature through his skin. Everything seemed normal. At least, normal by human standards. "Your biology is unusual," she said while looking at her tablet. "I get that a lot." Daniel chuckled. Kela wasn't sure if he was joking, but she kept going. She gently lifted his arm to scan his joints and muscle movement. It felt warm and soft compared to her own kind. Still, she remained focused. Her hands moved carefully, her mind repeating the training steps she'd learned. Finally, she moved to check his legs. "I will now examine your lower limbs," she said. "Sure. Go ahead," Daniel replied. She bent down, holding the scanner just above his right knee. Her hand tapped the side of his leg lightly, trying to locate a nerve group. Then, it happened. His leg jerked forward fast and hard. Kela gasped and fell backward. Her scanner flew from her hand, hit the wall, and clattered to the ground. A tray nearby flipped over. Metal tools scattered across the floor. Daniel blinked. "Oh, sorry." "Reflex." Keela stared at him, eyes wide. "Reflex?" she asked, her voice shaking. Double quotes. "Yeah. It's called a knee-jerk reflex. Happens when you tap a certain spot." "Didn't mean to scare you?" She stood up slowly. "You kicked without warning." "Not on purpose," he said quickly, holding up his hands. "It's automatic. I didn't control it." Keela's heart was racing. She had never seen such a quick, violent movement before. Among her species, no limb moved that fast without being a clear attack. Her training said sudden motions during medical exams could mean danger. Before she realized it, her fingers tapped the emergency alert on the wall. Sirens lit up in the corners of the room. Daniel's eyes widened. "Wait, what did I do now?" Keela backed away from him. "I must follow procedure. An unknown reaction during medical checkup must be reported." "It wasn't an attack," Daniel said. "I can explain really." But it was too late. The door opened and two security drones floated in, their sensors aimed at Daniel. "Stand down," one of the drones ordered. "Hands visible. Remain seated." Daniel froze. "This is a huge misunderstanding," he muttered. Captain Thurn arrived moments later, tall and covered in thick violet scales. He looked down at the scene. "What is happening?" Keela pointed toward Daniel's legs. His lower limb moved violently during a harmless scan. He kicked over equipment. It was a reflex. Daniel tried again. "Just a medical thing." Captain Thurn narrowed his eyes. "Weapons in the legs?" "What? No." Keela began to feel unsure. Maybe she had acted too fast, but she couldn't ignore what she saw. Daniel's movement had been too fast, faster than any crew member she'd worked with. What if it really was a hidden defense system? Put him in a safe containment room. The captain ordered. Daniel sighed. "Great. First checkup and now I'm a prisoner." The drones moved forward and scanned him for weapons. They found nothing. Still, they carefully led him out of the medical room. Kela stood silently as the room emptied. She looked at the scanner on the floor. It was still working. Everything had been going fine until she tapped his leg. Was this really a mistake? Or had she just witnessed something unknown, something hidden deep within human biology? She picked up her tablet and started a report, unsure of how to describe what just happened. Whatever it was, she knew one thing. This checkup was no longer routine. Daniel sat on the small bench inside the containment room. It was quiet, too quiet. The walls were smooth and glowing with soft blue light. He sighed and leaned back, rubbing his face. Reflex, he whispered. That's all it was. Outside the room, two floating security drones hovered near the door. Their sensors stayed locked on him, just in case. He had already explained 3 times. But no one seemed to believe him. The movement of his leg had caused fear alerts. And now he was being treated like a possible threat. This is ridiculous. He muttered. On the other side of the ship, Keela was sitting in the medical lab, watching the security footage again. The moment kept repeating on her screen, her hand tapping Daniel's leg, his sudden kick, and the tray crashing down. She paused the video. He said it was automatic. She said softly to herself, no control. But still, the speed and strength were surprising. Her people didn't have anything like that. If someone touched their leg, it would never respond with such power or speed. Captain Thurn entered the room. Have you completed your report? Keela stood up quickly. Almost, Captain. Our Science Council has asked for full data. They are worried. Keela hesitated. I think it may not be an attack. The human called it a reflex, a natural reaction. Natural? Thurn asked with doubt. A limb that moves faster than our drones, knocking over tools during a peaceful scan? And you say it was not on purpose? He didn't look angry. He even apologized. Thurn crossed his arms. We must treat all unknowns with caution. If this is a hidden weapon or threat, we must be ready. Keela lowered her eyes. Yes, Captain. But deep down, she wasn't sure anymore. Something felt off. Not dangerous, just misunderstood. Meanwhile, word of the incident had spread across the ship. Many crew members gathered in the common area, watching the video loop. On the large screen, did you see the speed? One alien asked. What if his legs are hiding something sharp inside? Another said. Maybe he didn't even know it's a weapon. Maybe it's programmed in his body. The rumors grew wilder. Some even said that humans could launch energy from their feet. Others believed the kick was a warning signal to other humans. None of it was true, but fear made their imaginations grow. Daniel, unaware of all these wild stories, sat quietly in the containment room, tapping his fingers against the wall. He was frustrated, but he didn't want to cause more trouble. A small speaker in the wall clicked on. This is Officer Wren. Do you need food or water? Sure, Daniel replied. I'd also love some answers. There was a pause. Then the officer said, you will be updated soon. Keela stood outside the room, watching him through the clear panel. She saw the way he sat calm, patient, not angry or scared. That didn't match someone who had just launched a hidden attack. She pressed the communication button. Daniel, he looked up. I wanted to ask you something. May I go ahead? Can you show me what you call a reflex? Again, just show me. Daniel smiled slightly. Sure. He lifted his hand and tapped the area just below his right knee. His leg kicked forward again fast, but controlled this time. Keela watched carefully. You didn't think about it before moving? Nope. Try it on the other one. He tapped his left knee. Same result. Keela blinked. So it's real. It just happens. Yeah. We call it a knee-jerk reaction. It's a way our body checks. If nerves are working, every doctor on Earth does this during a checkup. Keela stood in silence. Her heart beat faster, not in fear, but in realization. This wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a hidden threat. It was a part of human biology. She turned off the panel and hurried to Captain Thurn. Captain, I need to speak to the Science Council. Why? I believe this was not an attack. I can prove it. With what? A medical test humans have. It causes this movement. It's part of their natural reflex system. Thurn stared at her. Do you have recordings? Yes, and I want to do more tests with his help. Thurn nodded slowly. One chance. But be careful. If anything else happens, I understand. Keela said. She returned to Daniel's room and smiled slightly. I believe you now. Thanks. Took long enough. Will you help me show them it was just a reflex? Sure. I don't want to be locked up for having knees. Keela laughed softly, the first laugh since the whole thing started, as she walked away to prepare the presentation. One thing was clear: this was not the end of the story. The misunderstanding had already spread far beyond the ship, and now she had to clear it before the entire galaxy believed humans had weapons hidden in their legs. The Science Council Hall on the planet Velner was full. Alien leaders, scholars, and military officers sat around the wide circle table. A large screen in the center played the same moment over and over, Daniel's leg kicking forward during the checkup. Whispers filled the room. Did you see how fast the movement was? What if they can control it in battle? Humans may be hiding weapons inside their bodies. The Velner Council leader raised his hand. Silence. We are here to understand the truth, not to spread fear. Bring in the evidence from the Illyra medical team. The screen changed to show Keela, standing in a comm room, holding her medical tablet. Greetings, Council, she began. I'm Keela, medical intern, and aboard the science vessel Illyra. I was performing a standard health check on the human Daniel. During the exam, I tapped his leg, which caused a fast reaction. At first, we believed it might be a threat, but now, we understand it was something else. A few council members leaned forward. The human called it a reflex. She continued. It is an automatic movement, not controlled by choice. I have recorded further examples. Allow me to show you. On the screen, Daniel appeared. He sat calmly in the exam room, tapping his knees. Each time, his leg kicked outward quickly. His face stayed relaxed. This is a test used by human doctors, Keela explained. It checks how their nerves are working. It is harmless. The room grew quiet. Then one council member stood. How do we know this is not a trick? We tested both legs. The movement happened each time, Keela said. He did not prepare. He did not attack. It was the same motion. And I found old medical records from Earth showing the same thing. The council leader nodded. We must consider this carefully. Contact with new species is never simple. Meanwhile, back on the Illyra, Daniel sat in the common area, finally released from the containment room. He held a cup of warm drink and watched a small group of alien crew members who now looked at him with a mix of curiosity and caution. One brave young alien approached him. Human Daniel, may I ask something? Sure, Daniel said, smiling. Can you really not stop your legs from kicking when touched there? Not really. It's just how we're built. The alien looked amazed. How many hidden movements like this do humans have? Daniel laughed. A few more. Some people sneeze without warning. Some hiccup. Sometimes our eyes twitch. Our bodies are weird. The alien crew slowly gathered around, asking questions. For the first time, they weren't afraid, they were interested. Captain Thurn entered the room and watched from a distance. He still didn't fully trust the human, but he noticed something important. Daniel wasn't trying to scare anyone. He was being honest. Kela joined the captain. The council is thinking. They saw the proof. And will they believe it? Thurn asked. I think so, she said. On Velner. The council finally voted. The leader spoke clearly. We no longer see this movement as a threat. The human's leg reaction is a medical reflex. We advise all crews working with humans to learn about their biology first. Before making assumptions, relief washed over the alien network. Many ships had started to fear humans again, even canceling meetings. But now, with the council's decision, things began to calm down. Daniel was called into the main communication room of the Illyra. Captain Thurn stood beside him. The Velner Council has cleared you, the captain said. They understand now. Daniel smiled. Great. Maybe now I can walk down the hallway without people jumping back. Don't count on it, the captain said. Some are still scared of sneezes. Daniel chuckled. Then I better not show them what a sneeze actually looks like. Keela stepped forward. Thank you for your patience. Most would have gotten angry or upset. I figured yelling wouldn't help, Daniel said. But next time, maybe tell your people not to panic over knees. Agreed, Keela said with a laugh. Across the galaxy, the footage of Daniel's reflex was now used in training rooms for alien doctors. A message followed the clip. Lesson 1. Not everything that moves fast is a weapon. Daniel was no longer seen as a threat. Now, He was seen as something else strange, funny, and full of mysteries. Every department on the Illyria wanted time with him, not to question him, but to study him. He had become a living curiosity. Can your eyes really see 3 moons clearly from this distance? Asked a tall alien with bright blue skin. Only if I squint and drink a lot of coffee. Daniel replied, smiling. The alien blinked. What is coffee? Daniel laughed. You don't want to know. It's like fuel for humans. Without it, we just shut down. Soon, the ship's science department invited Daniel to a live demonstration. They had set up a soft white room filled with scanning devices and observation windows. Dozens of crew members and students were watching from behind. Captain Thurn stood in the back, arms crossed, watching carefully. Keela was next to Daniel, holding a list on her tablet. Ready as I'll ever be, Daniel said. Just don't poke me in the eye or anything. Keela smiled. We won't. Today is safe testing only. First, the knee reflex. Daniel sat on the exam table and tapped just below his knee. The leg kicked. The crowd behind the glass gasped. Some clapped. Others scribbled notes on glowing pads. He did it without thinking again. Someone whispered. Keela nodded. Next test, balance shift. She gave him a soft platform to stand on. Close your eyes and lift one foot. Daniel followed. He stood on one leg, eyes shut. After a few seconds, he wobbled slightly but stayed balanced. Amazing, one of the science officers said. His inner balance system is stable without visual input. That's normal for humans, Daniel said. Well, for most, the observers were fascinated. One asked if he could repeat the sneeze reflex. You want me to sneeze? Daniel asked, confused. Double quotes, yes. If you can. I'll try. He looked toward the ceiling lights and wiggled his nose. Achoo. He sneezed loudly. The entire crowd jumped. A few ducked. One even dropped his pen. Daniel rubbed his nose. Was that too much? Not at all, Keela said, recording the moment. They've just never seen it before. Guess I should hold back the next time. But the final test on the list was unexpected. Now we'll test your foot's reaction to tickling. Keela said. Daniel froze. Wait, what? Tickling, she said again. We found it in the human medical records. Some bodies respond to soft touches with laughter or twitching. Yeah, they do. But you sure we need to test that one? Yes, we want to study all responses. Daniel sighed and removed his shoe, placing his bare foot on the padded surface. Keela gently touched the bottom of his foot with a soft tool. His leg jerked back. Gah, that's, yep, I'm ticklish. The crowd behind the glass laughed, some with joy, others in total confusion. He laughed from a touch. What kind of defense is that? It's not a defense, Keela explained through the intercom. It's just how humans are built. Their bodies react in many strange ways. Daniel, still laughing lightly, sat back. That's enough of that test, Keela nodded. Thank you for your help. The test ended, but the excitement didn't. As Daniel walked through the halls later. Crew members nodded at him, some smiled. A few even tried small conversations. Greetings, Daniel. Your sneeze was powerful. May I ask where else? Humans are ticklish. Daniel raised an eyebrow. I'll keep that secret. Later that day, the ship's central news hub showed highlights from the tests across the galaxy. Others watched the footage with amazement. Alien doctors replayed the sneeze scene 10 times. Warriors were puzzled by the tickling test. Why would a strong species have such a weakness? One asked. Maybe laughter is their secret weapon, joked another. But in a dark office far from the science ship, a group of military leaders watched the same footage. One of them leaned forward. They say it's harmless, but look at how quickly that leg moves. Imagine if that was used in battle. Are you suggesting these reflexes could be trained for war? Another asked. I'm saying we don't know enough, and anything unknown is dangerous. While most of the galaxy laughed and learned, a few began to see things differently. They didn't trust the smiles. They didn't believe the reactions were truly innocent. Back on the Illyria, Daniel walked beside Keela, holding a snack in his hand. Well, he said, That was the strangest science class I've ever had. You helped a lot today, she said. We've never seen anything like you before. Daniel looked at her. Is that good or bad? Keela smiled. We're still figuring that out. Daniel woke up feeling well rested. The bed in his assigned room on the Illyria wasn't too soft, but it had grown comfortable over the days. He stretched, yawned, and looked at the small clock near his bed. Another day of being poked and scanned, he muttered. Smiling to himself, he changed into his uniform and stepped out into the hallway. Keela was already waiting with her tablet. Morning. He said, Good morning. Today's session is scheduled for after lunch, but some officers from Velner requested a private meeting with you. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Officers? What for? They said it's for deeper study. They want to observe other movements and behaviors. Daniel frowned slightly. Are they scientists too? Keela looked unsure. They're from the Defense Research Division, but they were approved by the ship's command. Daniel followed Keela to a different part of the ship, one he hadn't been to before. The walls were darker here, and the lights dimmed automatically. As they passed, the tall alien officers stood outside a door. Both wore gray armor and held small scanning devices. Subject Daniel. One of them said, You may enter. Do I have a choice? Not really, the other replied. Keela whispered, I'll be just outside. Daniel stepped inside. The room was square, quiet, and empty except for a chair in the center. He sat down, looking around. Cameras were in every corner. A voice spoke from above. We will now begin testing your stress reflexes. Daniel blinked. Stress reflexes? Please remain still. Without warning. A loud sound blasted from one side of the room, a harsh screech, like metal grinding against metal. Daniel jumped slightly. What the noted, shoulder twitch and blink response. Continue. Suddenly, cold air sprayed near his neck. He shivered. Hey, that's freezing. Noted, skin reaction to sudden temperature change. Daniel sat up straighter. You could have told me first. A small object dropped from the ceiling and bounced near his foot. It made a sharp cracking noise. He jumped again. Okay, this isn't a test anymore. What are you trying to prove? No one answered. Outside, Keela stood nervously. She looked through the security feed, watching Daniel frown, twitch, and react to random noises and shocks. This wasn't right. She tapped her communicator. Officer Kira, this is Medical Assistant Keela. I request to pause the test. No response. She tapped again. Captain Thurn, are you receiving this? Back in the room. A bright light suddenly flashed straight at Daniel's eyes. He closed them quickly, covering his face. Stop it, he said. This isn't research, it's a trap. Finally, the door opened. Keela ran in, holding up her tablet. End the session, she shouted. The two officers stepped forward. We have permission. Not anymore, Keela snapped. You've crossed the line. This is not science. This is fear. Daniel stood up, still blinking. Thanks for stopping that. I was about to kick something again. Keela turned to him. I'm sorry. I didn't know they would do this. What? Were they even testing? They're scared. They think your body hides more than you show. Daniel sighed. I'm just a guy, not a weapon. Keela led him out of the room. Back in the hallway, she sent a report to the ship's command. Captain Thurn responded quickly and called a full meeting. Inside the command room, several officers gathered. Daniel stood beside Keela as she explained what had happened. Testing without consent is not allowed, she said. They treated him like a threat again. Not a guest. Captain Thurn looked at the officers. This action violates protocol. One officer stood up. We only wanted to be sure. What if this reflex power is just the start? Daniel stepped forward. Then ask, talk to me. I'll answer. But if you treat me like a problem, you'll never get trust. The room went silent. Keela added, understanding a new species takes time, but it also takes respect. Captain Thurn gave a short nod. Officers Kira and Duman, you are suspended from all contact with the human until further notice. As they left, Thurn turned to Daniel. I apologize for their actions. Thank you, Daniel said. I just want to be treated fairly. Keela smiled. Tomorrow, no tests, just rest. Daniel grinned. Best medical advice I've heard all week. But far away, on a military base orbiting Velner. Someone else watched the footage of the failed test session. His cold voice whispered. To the others in the room, this human body reacts faster than ours. We need more data. Someone asked, but the council approved peace. Yes, the voice replied, but peace is only safe when you understand your neighbor's strength. The next morning, Daniel stood inside a bright hall filled with alien students, teachers, and visitors from other ships. He was invited to give a short talk about human behavior and culture. The screen behind him showed Earth's picture cities, forests, and people running, jumping, even dancing. This is what we call a dance, Daniel said, pointing to a video. It's not for war or defense. It's for fun. The crowd watched in silence. Some looked confused. Others smiled. Humans don't just fight or build machines. He continued. We laugh. We move. Sometimes we move without reason, like reflexes, sneezes, hiccups, or dancing. Soft laughter came from a few seats. The mood was calm. Kela watched from the side of the room. She felt proud. Daniel had gone from prisoner to guest speaker. She thought maybe, just maybe, things were getting better. But her tablet buzzed. A message appeared on the screen, marked private and urgent. She opened it quietly and read this short line. Military branch moving to override council peace order. Human reflex files being weaponized. Her heart skipped. She quickly left the room and walked into a quiet hallway. Her mind raced. Someone was trying to turn Daniel's simple reflexes into a reason for fear again. They were ignoring the council's decision and looking for ways to control human biology. For their own goals. Daniel finished his talk and joined her moments later. That went pretty well. Right? He asked. Kela nodded slowly. Daniel, I need to talk to you, somewhere private. They walked to the quiet corner of the ship's science wing. She showed him the message. His smile faded. So they're still afraid of me. Some of them, yes, she said. They think your reflexes can be copied, maybe even used in soldiers. That's insane. I kicked a tray. That's it. But it was fast, and that's enough for some people to feel threatened. Daniel sat down. What do they want? Capture more humans, study them, make robot legs that kick like mine. Keela lowered her voice. Worse. They want to push fear into the council again. They think if they show a threat, they can gain control. What kind of threat? A staged one, a setup, something fake. Daniel looked at her. We have to stop it. She nodded. But we need proof first. They worked together in secret. Keela searched through ship logs, looking for strange activity. Daniel helped check old communication files for hidden codes. It wasn't easy, but after hours, they found something. A hidden message from one of the officers who had tested Daniel earlier. It said, prepare simulation room. Human subject must react. Fear must be real. Daniel leaned back. They were going to scare me on purpose. Yes, Keela said. To catch your natural reaction on video, then twist the story. They brought the proof to Captain Thurn. He read the files carefully. This is serious, Thurn said. If this reaches the council before we speak, it may start fear again, or worse restrictions on Earth. Can we stop them? Keela asked. Yes, Thurn said. But we must be fast. The captain ordered a secure broadcast to the Velner Science Council. Within hours, the members appeared on a large screen inside the Illyria's main hall. Keela stood beside Daniel as the images and messages were shown. Officers from the secret plan were named. Their actions were clear. The council listened carefully. You have done well to report this, the council leader said. Fear has no place in learning. Humans came in peace, and we will honor that. The officers behind the false plan were removed from duty and taken off the ship. Daniel stood quietly, unsure what to say. The council leader looked at him. Human Daniel, we apologize once more. Your honesty has helped us understand better. Daniel gave a small smile. I just wanted to stop people from thinking knees are dangerous. Keela laughed softly beside him after the meeting ended. Daniel walked back to his room everything felt quiet again. You saved a lot today, Keela told him. I didn't do much, he said. Just told the truth. Sometimes the truth is the most powerful thing. Outside the ship, stars continued to shine. Peace had been saved for now, but across the galaxy, everyone now knew one thing for sure. Humans were not just interesting. They were unpredictable, surprising, and worth understanding. The docking bay of the Illyria was busier than usual. Supply. Drones moved in and out. Engineers checked shuttle engines. But most eyes were on the tall figure near the center of the room, Daniel, the human guest who had accidentally changed everything. His time on the science ship was over. The council had decided he should return to Earth for a while, until full exchange programs were reopened. Daniel stood near his transport, holding a small bag with his belongings. He looked around the bay, his eyes resting on the crew members who had once feared him. Now they waved, smiled, and even called his name. Safe travels, Daniel. Don't forget to send dancing videos. Teach your people not to sneeze so loudly. Daniel laughed at the last one. No promises, he called back. Keela stood quietly a few steps away, holding her medical tablet. But she wasn't checking health stats. She was staring at Daniel. He noticed and walked toward her. So, he said, guess this is goodbye. For now, Keela said, her voice calm but soft. I'll miss your serious face every time I sneeze. And I'll miss your confused face every time I ask a normal question. They both smiled. I still think you aliens overreacted to my leg, Daniel said. And we still think you underreacted to being locked in a room for 3 days. She replied. They both laughed. Keela handed him a small device. This is a copy of your scans, the presentation videos, and our research files. Your people might find them useful. Thanks. I'll make sure Earth knows their needs are famous now. Keela paused for a moment. Then, carefully, she asked, do you think you'll come back? Daniel looked around the bay, then at her. Honestly? Yeah, I'd like to. Even after everything, especially after everything. You don't forget the first place where your leg nearly caused a galactic fight. Keela looked down at her tablet. I learned a lot from you. Same here. Daniel said, I thought I was just an engineer. Turns out, I was a test subject, a teacher, and a walking mystery. Keela nodded slowly. You were also a friend. Daniel blinked, surprised for a second. Then he smiled wider. Yeah, he said. You were mine too. The shuttle pilot called from inside. Ready for launch? Daniel turned to go, then paused. Hey, Keela. Yes, if you ever visit Earth, let me know. I'll give you a real tour. We have more surprises than just twitchy legs. I'll remember that, she said. Daniel climbed into the shuttle. The door closed slowly, but not before he gave a final wave. Keela stood there for a long time after the ship left. Her hands rested on the tablet, but her mind was somewhere else. The memory of their first meeting played again. Daniel sitting calmly, her tapping his leg, the kick, the crash, the panic. So much had changed since then. Later that night, she sat alone in her room. Messages from other science ships were arriving, questions about humans, requests for reflex videos, and new invitations to speak. But one message stood out. From Daniel's subject. Bonus flesh open it. It was a short video. Daniel was standing on a hill on Earth, wind blowing through his hair. Behind him were green trees and the sunset. Hey Keela, he said in the video. Just wanted to say thanks again. I'm back home, but I keep thinking about the ship, the crew, and you. He smiled. Also, fun fact, I found a new reflex. If you hit below my elbow just right, my hand jumps. He tapped his elbow, and his hand twitched. See, humans are full of surprises. He waved. Take care. Hope we meet again. Keela smiled. Then softly said to herself, we will. Outside her window, the stars moved slowly across the dark sky. Peace had returned. But something new had started, a quiet connection between two species, two people, brought together by something as simple as a medical checkup and a knee. Reflex. The galaxy had laughed, panicked, studied, and finally learned one truth. Humans were strange, full of unexpected movements and impossible to fully predict. and that made them unforgettable.